Hey there, Board Game Brody here with Let's Table It, where we get games to the table, like this prototype copy of Peaks. This is an area majority game where you compete to climb mountains and ultimately have the most flags on the map at the end of the game. You will choose between one of 3 different actions each turn and be able to gain better gear, crew to help you climb mountains, and upgrade your player board so that you can conquer those tougher mountains. The game is published by Tangerine Games and even plays up to 6 players. So if you climb mountains like myself, you will love this theme for this game. There are 2 decks of mountain cards listing several different peaks that you can climb in different continents around the world. Anyways, here's the game set up on the table. This is the map where you will be moving your character pawns to different continents to climb mountains and then placing a flag down showing that you climbed a mountain in that location. This deck is the companion deck that you can gain in the game, and they can be used and will help you to climb mountains when you need extra help at that time to do so. This is the bonus card deck. You can gain these cards for ways to gain additional flags, which is the ultimate goal in this game. But to gain more flags, you have to complete the requirement shown on that card. Now, rather than keep the card to gain additional flags, or maybe you know you won't fulfill that requirement, then you can also discard this card to gain the bonus shown on the bottom of the card. These are all different from card to card, and you will just be able to use what you can use. On the top here is the experience track, and you will want to move along this track to upgrade your 3 main actions that you can take during the game. It also has a couple of places where you can gain a reward, even adding flags if you get to the far end of that track. And then these are the 2 decks of mountain cards with 4 laid out that you can see and take when you perform the action to do so. And the mountain cards list the requirements that you need to complete on the bottom so that you can climb that mountain. You will pay the shown energy listed. When a player picks a climb action to climb a mountain, any other player can potentially tag along and climb as well if the requirements are also hit. Some mountains might have this 2 climber icon. This means that if you convince someone else to climb it with you, you can pay less energy than when doing it by yourself. Both players will then pay the lower energy cost. Some mountains have the acclamation icon, which means that you can't move to the continent and then climb on the same turn. So you will need to be in a continent at the beginning of your turn and then climb that mountain on the location where you're already at. Other players can join in as well, but also only if they are acclimated and in the same location as well. Some mountains require specific gear, and you will need to have that gear, and you will need to use that gear by lowering your marker of that type on your player board. Lastly, some of those tougher mountains will require experience, and you will add up the experience from all players joining in on your climb and see if you hit that requirement. Now, this is the only requirement that isn't exactly a requirement, because you can still climb mountains with that higher experience level listed than what you have combined with whoever is climbing. But for each experience above your combined value, you will need to roll the danger die. And this could be several times that you're rolling it, or maybe just once if you're very close to it. This is a 6-sided die that has 2 sides with the danger icon. And if that icon is rolled, you and the other players do not gain any of the rewards from climbing as you fail to hit the summit. Other more dangerous mountains might have a danger icon that you will need to roll anyways, or for different reasons you might be rolling this die as well. The top of the mountain cards shows 2 groups of rewards that you can gain if you successfully climb that peak. The active player will pick what they want, and the others who join in will pick the other. Now let's go over the player board. You will have your 3 actions shown here. You will most likely start with each at the 0 mark, but there will be upgrades that you will move this tile up to show more actions that you can take during that action. You gain these tile upgrades mostly by gaining experience on the experience track, but there are other ways that you might find to do this as well throughout the game. You will also start with dice on the spots here, and you will also be able to upgrade these to increase the values to benefit you from the shown actions. There are 4 values shown, and you will turn once to the next level, gaining that next die upgrade, and you can keep on turning it until you get to the maximum value, which will also give you a flag. Companions are slotted in these top slots here, and you can use your cubes to keep track of how many times that you've used them for their listed benefits. Once they have no more uses left, then they can be discarded. You can only have a maximum of 3 of these at a time. These areas are used when taking the action shown below, and you can rest, prepare, or climb. Whichever action you pick, you will place a large cube in a slot above that action. Once you have all 3 slots full, you will remove them and you will gain the bonus action shown next to it. This one is gaining a stamina, this one is upgrading a die, and this one is placing out 1 flag or gaining 3 experience. Now, this track here will be used for tracking your stamina and your energy. The stamina is represented by the heart, and your energy is represented by this arrow icon. All peaks will require you to use energy, so you will be using and needing to rest to refill and gain more energy very often. Again, these are the different gear that you can gain, and you'll keep track of them by using these markers, and the peaks will require different gear to climb them. Once you use the gear for climbing, you lose it, and you'll move that marker down. So I've kind of gone over what you see here. Now let me explain the gameplay of how you put all these things together. Again, the focus is the flags on the map. Upgrading other things will make it easier to place out flags, but near the end of the game, you will want to focus on putting out flags as much as you can, and less on upgrading your abilities and stats, which you might want to focus on at the beginning of the game. It's worth mentioning now that at the end of the game, you will also add additional flags to the board according to bonus cards that you gain throughout the game. And for completing the listed requirements on those, you also gain 1 flag in each continent in which you have more flags than each other of the other players. You gain 2 flags to place out anywhere if you have at least 1 flag in every continent on the board at the end of the game. And you gain 1 flag to place anywhere on the board for having more climbed mountains than each of your neighbors, which are the players on your right and left. So you potentially can surprise others with additional flags at the end of the game to take the lead from whoever might appear to be winning at that time with the most flags. The last thing before beginning the game, each player is dealt out 2 boost cards. Each player will choose one of these that lists your starting stats. This is the starting energy, your starting stamina, maybe some experience, maybe an upgrade here or there. They're all different, and they can help you with your opening strategy. If you are new, they recommend not using the boost cards, and you will place your energy at 12 to begin and your stamina at 7, and move your experience marker up 4 spaces so it's on the first 2 space. But I recommend the boost cards to mix things up, especially if you play a lot of board games or later when you understand the game more fully. Okay, so the gameplay. So you will take turns, and on your turn, you will take one of 3 actions. You will rest, you will prepare, or you will climb. Resting is important, but let me start with the prepare action. You will place a large cube on the top showing that you are taking that action, and then you will gain 1 mountain card from the 4 shown, or you can take the 1 from the top of its deck. Mountain cards are public information, are left face up in front of you, and these will be potential mountains that you are hoping to climb. Pick ones that give you the rewards that you want, ones that you can accomplish, or how prepared you currently are so you can do them. Keep in mind others can climb with you, so you can be strategic in sometimes, taking mountains where others can or cannot climb them with you, being prepared or not prepared. You will then discard the mountain on the far leftmost slot if there is one there present, and then you will replenish the row with new mountain cards. Lastly, for this action, you will gain gear up to what's shown on your die. This is 0 at the beginning of the game, but if you gain a die upgrade, this action can help you prepare better for those harder mountains. Gaining gear is done by moving your tracker of that type up by 1. And that's the opening prepare action. Let's climb next. Again, don't forget to place a large cube in a slot of the action that you are taking. And you will choose one of your mountain cards in this action in front of you to climb, and choose to climb it for either its Y or its X rewards. After choosing your potential rewards, other players can then choose to tag along. You and any other players who tag along move their character meeples to the continents on the map and pay the requirements listed on the mountain card. This will be lowering your energy, maybe using gear, maybe checking combined experience with all those climbing, whatever the requirement that is shown on that mountain card is. If you can successfully pay everything and sometimes having to roll the danger die for those, more dangerous peaks, then you gain the experience shown on the top of your die value, and all other players who tagged along gain the experience shown on the bottom number of your die. Upgrading this die will give you more experience when climbing, but also eventually will benefit you more than the others who tag along with you. Rewards for climbing can be gaining flags, which is the overall goal, increasing your stamina, which will help you with your energy levels, gaining bonus cards, which can give you additional ways to gain flags, give you companions to help you on your climbs. They can give you dice upgrades, making your actions more powerful, or gaining experience, which is needed for those harder mountains. But also, you can gain upgrades and bonuses when climbing on the track. Since you might have times when you use your energy climbing mountains, you will need to rest. When resting, you can travel to any continent, potentially setting up for a climb that needs maybe acclimation to. And then you can also travel to a continent that you are already present in. That's okay. Then you can either gain 2 energy, or if you are pretty low on energy, you can move your energy up to where your stamina is at. This makes your stamina levels somewhat more important because it's the reset of your energy. Increasing it will help you climb more mountains before needing to rest again. And when preparing to climb a big mountain that might need a lot of energy, you have to rest to get to your stamina level, and then each rest after that will be increasing it by 2. So to be more efficient with your actions, you might want to climb peaks that, you are ready for, and focus on, increasing your stamina to help you in the later game be more prepared for those bigger and tougher peaks to climb. As the game continues, you will gain tile upgrades, making your 3 different actions more powerful. This is mostly done by going up on the experience track. When you cross a space with a tile upgrade icon, then you move up one of your tiles up by 1. This reveals an added bonus when taking that certain action. When resting, this first upgrade will let you gain the rest bonus. This is the bonus listed on the board of the continent that you are in. I should say these are tokens randomly placed at the beginning of the game, so they will change from game to game. But you can gain energy up to your stamina, which will make your rest action more powerful. You can gain 1 gear of the 3 types, or 1 gear of these other 3 types. You can discard a bonus card to gain a different bonus card. This might help you, get cards that you are more able to achieve. Gain 1 experience, or move 1 cube on any of your actions to another action, which can give you the bonus action of filling up the 3 slots. With another upgrade, you can pay 2 energy and discard 2 cards to gain a flag, placing it on your current location. Actions are always taken in order from top to bottom. And going back to the die upgrades, you can upgrade it from a 2 to a 5 to a 7 and then to a 9 and gain a flag when doing that. Now, the prepare tile upgrade adds drawing 3 mountains from either deck and then choosing 1 to keep and discarding the others. This will give you more chances to, find good mountains that you want to climb. And then this one will let you gain up to 2 of any 1 gear type. Move up 2 spaces on your choice of gear. The die upgrade for prepare starts at 0, but you can upgrade it to 1, then 2, then lastly to 3, and if you do that, you will gain a flag. The climb action upgrades are if the mountain you climb is over 4,200 meters, all players climbing this gain a stamina or 2 experience. Each player can, choose whichever reward they want. Then the next upgrade is if you have multiple players climbing, you may pay 3 energy to gain a flag, and if you do, others climbing can also do this. The flag is placed on your current continent. And your die upgrade here starts with 1 and 1, which means you gain 1 experience, and the tag-along players gain 1 experience, but you can upgrade it to 2, 2, then 2, 1, and lastly 3, 2 with a flag on it. During the game, you can negotiate at any time, planning on climbing certain peaks even before choosing an action for your turn. Any agreements are binding for that turn, but that turn only. This way, you can propose a climb to a mountain that you maybe do not have enough energy to do yourself, but with others tagging along, you might be able to. After a player places their 16th flag on the board, then the current player finishes their turn, and then every player takes 1 more turn who still has flags left at the beginning of their turn. If you would ever place more than 16 flags, then you will use cubes as substitutes, and then players reveal their bonus cards and place flags from those. Players gain 1 flag in each continent in which they have more flags than each of the other players. 2 flags are placed out from players who are in each continent, and players compare numbers of mountains climbed, and each player who climbed more than other players gains 1 more flag to place anywhere on the map. Players count the number of flags or combination of flags and cubes from going over the 16, and the player with the most wins the game. And, well, that's Peaks. It's an adventure mountain climbing game of climbing mountains from across the world. And really, this game impressed me in one way more than others, and that is that instead of taking turns and individually climbing the mountains and other people, kind of checking out, whenever a player decides that they are climbing, any other player in the game can join if they are prepared with the requirements to be able to climb that mountain. In addition, I liked how the active player is choosing which reward they receive when successfully making to the summit, while all the other players receive the other reward. And this will mix up things so everyone's not upgrading or gaining the same things over and over again. Players will determine if it is, worth paying their energy or their gear to climb that mountain versus saving it for another opportunity. Maybe another player is ready to climb one and they would rather gain those benefits. Eventually, players will want to, be prepared to join other players' climbing expeditions while maybe trying to climb mountains that no one else is prepared to climb, kind of doing it by themselves. Or you can try to get others to join in with you on your climb to pay less than if you were to climb it by yourself. Really, that design in the game really makes the game very strategic, and it engages all players. The die upgrades will also help to make your actions more powerful than what others are doing, but it's layered as you try to gain die upgrades. You can, try to gain the tile upgrades. Both will help you to do more when choosing that action. Really, the game requires you to gain upgrades, but those upgrades are layered and come into play differently. You really can benefit from any of the upgrades, but you will want to use it more when you gain it. And strategy can be based on which upgrades you gain or which ones you go after. It's a game that has these layers in it, but then you are not needing to kind of return back over and over again to the rulebook to figure things out because you're taking one of 3 different actions, but within those choices, you have several other choices which will form that strategy, and it makes the game. And those choices aren't even always on your turn, but sometimes you'll, be making choices on other players' turn as well. Now, the theme for me is right there on top. I'm sure if this is for you by just looking at it. I'm actually getting ready to climb my 13th 14er in Colorado next month with my wife. So for us, this is a great theme. Again, I just want to remind you that this is a prototype, and so everything is subject to change, but the components are very good already. I would expect that it to be the case with the final version. The art is done very well, and the game plays up to 6 players. Can you believe that? That just creates more opportunities to, be ready to climb when it's not your turn. Lastly, the design allows for some sneaky finishes with a player triggering in-game at 16 flags, but another player can win additional flags after the fact without the other players really knowing. And this can be a sneaky way for you to collect those cards or do other things to sneak away and grab the win. Again, this is Brody with Let's Table It, where we get games to the table. Please like and subscribe to our channel. We are working hard to bring to you videos like this one so you know if these games are ones that you want to get to your own table.